4 years.
Michael Jackson's doctor, right? Michael, please, Mike Jacobs, please get the letter. I want to read it to the folks. Let's check in. There's Diane, working away. I want very much to see what David's reaction is when he sees himself. Any bad vibes, Mike, Randy, or Richard, about the fact that Michael chose to go to emphasize the white side rather than the black side? Is that? Do you feel anything about that, Rochelle? Do you get any?
Well, I was just talking with her about that, and he has a lot of money. I mean, I was very depressed when everything was happening to me, and they're talking about the plastic surgery and the nose job. If I had the money and it made me happy to get my nose fixed, 17 times I would do it. And
absolutely. Hey, why not? So what do you think about Michael, just generally? Did you see the interview by any chance?
Oh, yeah.
What'd you think?
I was watching it with a friend of mine, and as soon as he said that, I knew it. I met a lady that told me this in November, and I told people, and I said, yeah, I did, and they didn't believe it. And my heart went out to him. I knew this what it was, and people are talking about it. I mean, I could identify because that's what happened to me, but I don't know why he would go the other way, but people, I guess he didn't think that he could be cured, but I was just telling her I don't know what
telling one of the ladies from the Vitiligo Foundation? Yeah?
Yes, I don't know what people believe. I'm a Christian, and I believe that, I believe in miracles, and it's a miracle because I took the same treatments before, and all I did was burn my skin and nothing. It took 2 months, and my color came back, but you have to change your whole frame of thinking. You have to change your whole mind.
This is from Arnold William Klein, MD. He's in Beverly Hills, dated February 12th. Michael Jackson was diagnosed with vitiligo in 1986. It affects at least 1% of the population, and in at least 25 to 30% of the cases, a family history is present. It is not contagious and is a result of the loss of pigment-producing cells of the skin. Mr. Jackson has requested I make this statement. Comments, Dr. Milgrom?
Well, I don't doubt it at all that he has vitiligo, and I think it shows a very courageous thing. I mean, the only reason I could see, I mean, I think it's a little outlandish or outrageous to suggest that slumping record sales, how much money this fella has, to go and bare your soul on national TV. I mean, I just don't see what other reason this chap would have for it. And if people understood the utter devastation that people, especially dark-skinned people, have with vitiligo, you can't imagine that the guy would do it for this reason. What would he gain out of it? I just don't see it.
I really feel that Michael's at a stage in his life now where he just wants to explain himself, and
you don't think there's a commercial motivation?
You know, this man has so much money, as the doctor was saying. I mean, I don't really think...
But the record sales were languishing.
You yourself just said he's a ruthless businessman, and he is. And that's very important to him. That's how he asserts himself. He has such a bad problem in personal relationships. He always asserts himself through business. You know that. And I think it's part of that. I also think, this is just my own take on it, is that once he started with it, Oprah just drew it out of him, and he just suddenly said it.
Yeah, I'm sure
and I think it made him feel good.
Planning.
Catharsis.
I'm sure he didn't plan on bringing up Brooke Shields. I'm sure he didn't plan on bringing up a lot of stuff. But I mean, once you agree to do an interview, that's the exciting thing about watching it.
He knew she was going to ask. I mean, you couldn't have an interview. They agreed not to ask about the sex life, but I mean, she couldn't just sit there and interview a man who looks white, who was a black man, who we all saw him as a black man, become virtually white.
He denied that he used the white kid in the Pepsi commercial as a double. Is that true or false? Not a double, him as a kid.
No, that's absolutely false. I mean, we ran a picture of the kid. I mean, that was the kid who was hired. And what they did was, this is a kid who won Michael Jackson lookalike contests in Australia, was brought to this country by Michael. Michael put him in the commercial. They hired what they call a mat artist, you know what that is, for $2,000 a day, to sort of superimpose a little bit of Michael's features on this little white kid. And I don't think it was because, and I never printed that. I remember when that story came out that, well, he hired a white kid to look like, because he wanted to look like a white kid when he was little. I never believed that. I think it's because this kid could move and dance like him, and he was the best. And plus, he was a protege of Michael's. And Michael just darkened him up a little through the magic of television.
You know, in retrospect now, when you think of all those Michael Jackson stories about bleaching skin and wanting to be white and everything, should we, here, Freddie, get a shot of the guy with the blue and green stripes again? In the second row. Should we be embarrassed, as this gentleman suggested, for hounding a guy who was only reacting to a devastating, emotionally malignant, in the emotional sense, disease?
Well,
a guy who is just who just had a disease.
I felt ashamed for some things in my life, but I never have hounded Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson gave us all these pictures, these stories. He wanted to become a public image. You know well, Geraldo, I've said it in the show a million times, when you decide to become a public image and have millions of people around the world admiring you, you give up something, you trade something. And when you, as a black man, appear as a white man, people are simply going to ask questions.
And you know, nobody forced him to get a chimpanzee and a llama and a baby giraffe and the snakes, and, you know, I mean, he leads a strange life. Nobody was forcing him to build a Ferris wheel and an amusement park on his lawn.
And, you know, I mean, I let the gentleman's comment slide because I'm sure he hadn't read my book. But
Michael Jackson, the music and the madness, that one?
I've been studying Michael Jackson for 20 years. I mean, I've been working this beat for a very, very long time. And my purpose is to try to explain Michael in as compassionate a way as I can, which I think we did with the book when we published it 2 years ago, and I was here on your show for that. You know, so we're basically trying to explain and answer the questions that people have about this man.
You know, I'm not going to ascribe any noble motives. You know, the National Enquirer, like any other newspaper or any television show, is in business to make money. Don't let anybody kid you. But
this show is not. Oh, I'm sorry.
But on the other hand, again, these people put themselves out there, and it's only fair, you know, you all want to know about them. You buy the books, you buy the newspapers. If you stop doing it.
In the meantime, David is having an incredible makeover. We will check in with Diane Rupus, who represents the Dermablend Cosmetics Company, in just a minute or so. Stay tuned. The real Michael Jackson syndrome, our focus today. For further information, and if you want to help out, there is the National Vitiligo Foundation address, the Texas American Bank Building, Post Office Box 6337, Tyler, Texas, 75711. Now, could you stand up, sir? You have it as well? Come on, stand up. Can you get a tight shot? So, is it worse in the summer when you tan?
Yes.
And you know, how do you deal with it? Do you ever wear makeup?
No. I don't use never makeup.
Do people come to you and ask you what is wrong with your chin or anything like, you know?
Yes. In my country, I have.
And which is your country?
Poland.
Oh, in Poland. In your country, people, do they ever make fun?
Yes, make fun. Ask me what is wrong with you.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's a lot of questions.
Well, around here, we're all friends. Right?
Actually, Geraldo,
yes, Doctor.
We brought Peter into the country. I received a letter from his family about 1.5 years ago, and there's no PUVA treatment available in Poland. So we petitioned the federal government. We brought him in. 90% of his body was involved, and now he just has a little bit left around his face area. But he's been coming to East Brunswick, New Jersey now for what, about
That's where your
9
office
months?
is?
East Brunswick, New Jersey. And you can see the tremendous improvement.
Now, you have it, and your little baby boy does too?
No, my baby boy doesn't have it right now, but I'm really concerned about him getting it through heredity. I'm very concerned. I've endured this for 30
What about heredity?
Well, 30% of people do have it, and we'll give a family history of having vitiligo in the family. If you do notice it, it's very important to start treating it at an early age.
Okay.
We do treat it with topical cortisones at that time.
All right, I don't want to give away the surprise yet. David is next. Stay tuned. Okay.